Good morning. We've just been invading our neighbour's private property and time this morning to ask folks a question. Folks? Who says folks? We do. We also say peoples and happyfying. Wait, is this something religious? Oh, no. Yes. We've just been asking people this morning, which would you pick? To be a vegetarian subsistence farmer for the rest of your life and forever, or to be destroyed at Armageddon and have your eyes pecked out by birds. Oh, it's not much of a choice, is it? No, it's not much of a choice, is it? But I feel that that's a more honest opening than some of the openings that I've been used to doing when I was out on field service. And wait, you've noticed, haven't you? You've noticed. I am wearing handmade earrings made by Kim of Mike and Kim. They are beautiful, aren't they? And they match my hair. Anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. I'm here to talk to you about paradise, because what I realise is that when we were selling the notion of paradise to people, we never stopped to ask people what their version of paradise would be. We just had a ready-made proposal for paradise, didn't we? And the ready-made proposal was animals, baskets of vegetables, lots of people smiling, and kind of countryside and foreverness. And that was the proposal. But paradise is different to different people, isn't it? I mean, for instance, a paedophile, well, what their version would be, well, Kingdom Hall, wouldn't it? Because they're protected there. In fact, come to think of it, surely all those paedophiles that are currently hiding in the paedophile paradise that is the Jehovah's Witness religion, surely the God paradise that we're proposing that they're all waiting for, that wouldn't serve their ends at all, would it? In fact, hang about, there aren't even going to be any children eventually, are there? Is that God's way of solving the paedophile problem? I'm not going to get rid of the paedophiles, guys, but I tell you what, in paradise we'll get rid of all the children. What will there be left to fiddle? Baby animals, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, going back to versions of paradise, I always used to think when I was a witness, how is it going to work? And basically, I did have this idea that it would be something like the pre-industrial revolution in England type scenario, where everybody is kind of cottage farmers, growing their own stuff and making their own stuff. And we were told that we'd all have a square kilometre of land, weren't we? And that'd possibly be enough to grow and do everything that you needed. And I used to think this is terribly inefficient way of carrying on, isn't it? Because if we're all just subsistence farmers growing all the same stuff, surely it'd make sense if we specialised and some people grew some stuff and some people grew other stuff and some people made some stuff. And then I thought, if that happened, you'd need some kind of exchange mechanism, wouldn't you? So say if I made earrings like Kim does and I needed a dining room table and 4 chairs. Well, I'd go to the dining room table guy and I'd say, hey, do you want to swap, I don't know, an enormous bath load of earrings for a dining room table? And then I was thinking, well, surely we'd need some kind of equivalency, wouldn't we? Some exchange mechanism that rated the time and effort that I'd put in against the time and effort that he'd put in. I couldn't swap 1 pair of earrings for a whole dining room table, could I? And so I thought what we need is some kind of exchange mechanism, but then we'd have to exchange everything, wouldn't we? How many earrings is a carrot worth? How many earrings is a cabbage worth? How many earrings is a on and on and on and on? How would we ever manage this incredibly complex exchange system unless we had some kind of token system that represented the things that we were making, that we could exchange it for. So instead of giving him actual earrings, I could give him tokens worth a pair of earrings. And whoa, hang about, we already have that. It's called money. And there you go. I couldn't make it work in my head. The other thing that I couldn't make work about paradise was this business. Given that all the animals were going to magically have their internal digestive tracts readjusted at the instant that Armageddon happened, so that they weren't killing each other and eating each other, and so that all those animals with incisors and sharp canines wouldn't need to eat other animals. They could just eat grass and shit. Well, presumably if they weren't killing each other, then neither were we killing them for food either, which obviously I found quite okay for the 10 years that I was a smug vegetarian. But as soon as bacon got me, then I really did think, how am I going to live forever just on vegetables and shit? That is a long time to go without a barbecue, and even longer if you're Australian, I'd like to suggest. Possibly inhumane, but you never see barbecue pits in those paradise pictures, do you? You see enormous baskets full of vegetables, all sorts of colours, obviously bartered through the exchange rate mechanism that's been invented, that doesn't involve money but means that everyone can have a little bit of everything rather than everyone having to grow it themselves. And you see the animals all being nice to each other and licking each other and not generally eating each other, and it's okay, but it does really bring us back to being vegetarian subsistence farmers, which doesn't sound as good when you sell it like that, does it? You see, paradise only sounds good when you're playing the ain't it awful game. When you've got the watchtower with the ain't it awful, oh ain't it awful drugs, ooh we need paradise, ooh ain't it awful crime, we need paradise, ooh ain't it awful, insert your popular moan of choice here. Compared to the ain't it awful, then yes, paradise does sound good, but standing on its own, not comparing it to Hiroshima or the Holocaust or the situation in Syria or Gaza, not comparing it to those horrific situations. Paradise, standalone, is basically eating vegetables forever, forever and ever. And presumably, with infinity, you will eventually have learned everything there is to learn. You'll have made every earring, you'll have learned every language, you'll have watched every animal and done a David Attenborough documentary on it. You'll have done everything there is. You'll have had sex an infinite number of ways with the one person that you married in the old system, who looked good looking at the time but is beginning to look a little bit jaded now. You'll have done it all. And then what? Then what do you do? It just doesn't sound like paradise as much when you really, really think about it. So I think we need to be more honest about selling the paradise thing to people. Well, not that I'm selling it, because I think we're just going to die and yada, yada, yada. But if they're going to sell it, I think they need to be a little bit more upfront about things. Sell it properly. And let people know it is going to get boring. You're probably going to struggle to get by without some kind of exchange mechanism. And here's the other thing. Paradise to me would involve living by a beach. Paradise to probably 3/4 of the world might involve living by a beach. But we can't all live by the beach. Some of us are going to have our square kilometre inland, where Birmingham used to be, or up a mountain, or wherever. What if we want to travel? Well, because of the kind of pollution issue, I'm assuming there's not going to be any aeroplanes or cars or trains or anything basically that pollutes. So we're going to have to walk. So travel's kind of out in my mind. Plus, if you're subsistence farming and you want to travel to the seaside and it's a 15-day trudge, you're going to have to bum off people along the way, aren't you? And what if all the witnesses that have got the 1 kilometres down in Cornwall, what if they actually don't want to put up the hundreds of thousands of people that have been trudging down what used to be the M5 to get to what used to be Finstral Beach in Cornwall? What if they don't want to put everyone up? What if they just want to live quietly on their own in their 1 kilometre growing carrots? So I can't see how that would work either. In fact, the more I think about it, the more really paradise sounds awful. And it brings me back to the original thought that I think the only people living in paradise at the minute are the paedophiles in Kingdom Hall. Thank you for listening to an episode of Stand Up for Jehovah.